Well, the hay is in the barn here the day before the 91st Annual Sugar Bowl. Marcus Freeman and Kirby Smart met with the media here, and tomorrow it's Notre Dame versus Georgia. I'm Tim Prister with Tim O'Malley and John Brice, and this is Irish Illustrated's Instant Analysis brought to you by RVMH Hall of Fame in Elkhart, Indiana. Guys, a few things to talk about, a couple interesting topics, but I thought there was a really interesting dichotomy between Marcus Freeman talking about opportunity and Kirby Smart talking about his extensive experience in winning Sugar Bowls. But that's where these two programs are right now, with Notre Dame having an excellent opportunity here as a 1-point underdog to join the ranks of Sugar Bowl winners.
I called it a low-key flex. Maybe it wasn't so low-key. I think he said playing in Sugar Bowls, hopefully. I don't recall which one it was, but it's obviously a different situation for Notre Dame. But I thought the other question was interesting was they asked both coaches, do you prefer your path here, where Notre Dame got to play last week? Notre Dame is back in what you do a normal season rotation here. Kirby's had a long time off, and Kirby's answer was, I'll let you know after the game, because he's just not sure. But Marcus made a great point. He's like, we've known our fate the whole time. We always had to play a playoff game, either home or road. We never were going to have a bye, and they play on their bye around the conference championship week. Kirby Smart had a lot of different avenues. I didn't think about this. Lose to Texas, you could be a road playoff team. You could be a home playoff team. Win it against Texas, and you had all that time off. So it's an interesting dynamic there.
It is an interesting dynamic, and had that been the case, that would have been Georgia playing that weekend that Notre Dame didn't play, and then having to play again the opening weekend of the 12-team college football playoff. Notre Dame, obviously, with a chance for history to win 2 games in the postseason for the first time ever. That's significant, and it would take them one step closer to the program's first national title since 1988. I know we're going to dive more into this on the podcast later today, but I am fascinated by the schedules of both teams, and not just the 24 days in between games for Georgia, but also the fact that I talked to some Georgia staffers yesterday. They went home for Christmas. They got to go home for Christmas. They got 3 days off at Christmas, 23, 24, 25. Players got to leave and go home. Staff got to leave and go home, or stay at home, as it were, if they live in the Athens area. Whereas, Marcus Freeman was incredulous when he was asked about the potential of people going home for Christmas.
Their respective schedules were very different, so Georgia could prepare ahead of time.
Correct. They could, and that was significant. But again, that's one of the elements that I think bears watching, and the overall schedule for both teams in this game.
Yeah. John, you asked an interesting question of Marcus Freeman about first of all, Mike Mickens, of course, and his growth and his future as a defensive coordinator is right around the corner somewhere. But also you asked about the head coach of the week that Marcus Freeman has installed within his program. You want to talk about that a little bit?
I do, and I'm going to write about that much more in depth before kickoff on Wednesday. I've been looking for the opening to tell this story and to talk about this story, honestly, for about 18 months since I first found out about it early in the 23 season. And, I just wanted to be strategic with it. But Marcus Freeman designates a different assistant coach as the head coach of the week every single week. I find this fascinating. And every coach is responsible of delivering the message. So Marcus will greet the team on Monday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that assistant coach has a head coach's message every week. I think folks will be fascinated as I get to peel back some of the layers of this in the story of how these coaches have done this. Particularly, I talked to offensive players yesterday who raved about Al Washington's game of the week, coach of the week approach this year. I talked to defensive guys, or specifically also wide receiver Bo Collins, who raved about Dylan McCullough's approach as coach of the week this week. So there's bows and arrows, there's toll roads, there's all sorts of good stuff. We'll peel back the layers, but I find that fascinating, and I give Marcus Freeman a lot of credit, because every single player I ask about this, and I think I talked to 20 yesterday, told me without a doubt that program helps breed more team unity.
Well, that's great stuff. I mean, I think anytime you empower people, whether it's your assistant coaches, Marcus Freeman empowers his players as well, and he's done that right from the very beginning. Look, he learned from one of the best, Jim Tressel. He incorporates a lot of things. And Tim, not surprisingly, Marcus Freeman was asked about one of his catchphrases, "Choose hard," which I completely understand where he's coming from with that, because at Notre Dame it is harder than it is most places. But additionally, he always comes up with something. I think that I always write something down. He said you can't you can't wait to lose in order to learn, and that's been, a huge part of the whole Northern Illinois fiasco that turned into the something that really propelled Notre Dame to the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think they would have played so well as they did the whole season had they not lost to Northern Illinois. I'm not saying they would have lost a game because that might have been the scare you need as well, but they went scorched earth because they lost that game. I think practice after that became a different situation. The growth in Marcus Freeman I want to go back to when he was hired. There's a 0% chance Marcus Freeman's a better coach in year 1 than year 5. He's a much better coach in year 3 than he was in year 2. He's a much better coach now than he was in early September.
I'm not sure coaches make those incremental improvements the way his have been.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, when you think about his first, 28 games, he had lost to Marshall, terrible Stanford, and Northern Illinois. Now he's scorched earth in the college football quarterfinal against Georgia, and they're a 1-point either way pick 'em. It's been quite a journey for Freeman this year. I really believe the loss propelled them to this. The goal is, though, that a loss doesn't have to propel you to this. You can be a coach in a program that goes scorched earth on everybody just because that's what you should do.
Pete Bavak was the one that, speaking of expressions, talked about what was his phrase? A maniacal obsession with winning a national title. And Marcus Freeman was asked about that. And again, I think the appropriate response. They don't come into the office every day talking about a national title. They come into the office talking about being better. And when you can accomplish that, getting better is what actually leads you to the national title.
And when your boss makes that statement so publicly in his first major press conference since taking over the program, that lets you know you're going to get the resources and the support that you need, both in athletics and around campus, or it leads you to that expectation. And I think that's part of the clear message, and that's the same day that Pete Bavakwa said we're going to do full revenue share, and yes, a great majority of that will go to football, and I think it all ties together. I do think you guys have so much more experience with this and depth of knowledge than me, but I do think the unification on campus and the clear path and vision for football is certainly as good as I've seen it since I've lived in South Bend.
Tim, anything else you want to add?
I actually thought the moment of levity today that he was asked, jokingly this time, both coaches about Herschel Walker again. It was a great moment because Freeman said what I thought he might say the first time. I'm glad we're not playing against Herschel Walker. But I thought Kirby Smart actually stole the show on that when he said, he's got that. He's obviously, his dad was a high school coach in Georgia. He was in Georgia for a lot of his life. And he's like, people always think I was sitting around as a 4-year-old in Georgia Bulldogs pajamas. I was not. I was in Alabama. And he's like, I was watching a different team. And then he mentioned Rocket Ishmael. I thought it was a great moment by Kirby
when he
Smart.
says that he was a kid when Rocket Ishmael was playing, that's when I feel even older than normal.
Hey, some of us met Herschel Walker last night, new ambassador to the Bahamas. Oh, wait, that's me.
JB has a picture with the big. It's still a rock.
Still
a
good
rock.
that he's not in the short yardage situation.
As you can see, we haven't talked anything about the matchup, but we are between Notre Dame and Georgia. But we will do that when we sit down for the Irish Illustrated Insider. This has been Irish Illustrated's Instant Analysis, brought to you by RVMH Hall of Fame in Elkhart, Indiana.